And basically, I just wanted to explain a little bit about the logical use in a programming language. Today's topic would be control the program execution flow. Okay. As a programming language, Java has a way to control the flow of the program. Depending on the predetermined condition, broadly speaking, the control of the execution flow can be grouped into three groups. So there are three major parts, namely would be selection, and the second one would be iteration or looping, and the third one would be jump. In this today, I will only discuss about two parts, which is selection and iteration or loop, and I will not discuss about the jump control flow in this section. Okay, and for the selection first, what is selection? There are two keys or keywords that can be used to make selection in Java. Both of the switch, the name of the keyword for the selection would be if and switch. Both of them can determine which program execution flow will be executed on a branch or a condition. The selection, in general, the use of if follow the following condition. So the structure of if will be the condition, you will pass the condition if the condition value or if the condition is true, then it will running the statement inside the block. But if the condition is false, then the condition the statement that will be executed will be in the else block. So if condition 1 is true, then the statement 1 will be running. And if the condition is false, then the statement 2 will be run. So this is a basic or a general use of a condition for if. But there are some rules in using selection in if. The firstly is a condition must be an expression that can be able to return a true or false value, or in this method is a Boolean value. While statement 1 and statement 2 and so on are code or a block of code that will be executed according to the value written by the condition. So if the condition is true, then the statement 1 will be executed. And vice versa, if the condition value is false, then the statement 2 will be executed. That is the general structure of an if. But it's also okay if you don't use the else statement like this one. So the use of else is optional. So you can use it or not as needed. So as you can see, you can use this kind of if condition or if statement without using the else. So if you write this kind of condition or this kind of selection, then the statement will be only executed if the condition value is true. So if the condition value is false, then nothing will be executed. And also, you can have a multi-verse or a multi-level or multi-nested selection. So in principle, the use of if else is the same, but it only be used for multi-level. You can combine its use into a multi-level like this example. So if the condition one is true, then it will be executing the statement one. But if the condition one is false, then it will be moved into the next condition. The next condition will be condition two. Then if this condition also false, then it will move into another condition until condition n or so on. So, this, but if all the condition is false, then it will be a step or it will be running in the else block. But as usual, the else block is also an optional, so you can use it or not. It will be depend on your needed, or it will be depend on the block of program that you will use. So this is a kind of nested or a multi-level selection. So you can have a lot of condition. It's limited. I don't know the limitation, but yes, you can have a lot of condition. And this is another example on how to use the condition or selection. So in this manner, let's say we try to create this kind of selection. So firstly, we define the variable value or nilai, and we address the value into with 65, and we also define the alphabet or the score value as an empty string. So what do you think this kind of selection will result? What is the result of this kind of selection? Anyone's anyone
B.
know?
B.
B? Anyone else? Are you sure?
B, sir.
B. Okay, this is very easy, right? Okay. So yes, it's correct. The result will be B. Why? Because the value of this variable or nilai variable it's only fulfill fit into this condition because the value of 65 uh, is between this range of value between 60 to 80. So yes, the result of this condition or this selection would be B. Thank you very much. Yes, you have a good logic. And the next one is the switch selection. So basically the switch is almost the same with multi-level if, where we can use switch for branches that are more than one. So therefore, switch can be used as an alternative to use in multi-level if. In general, the form of switch will be as follows. As you can see that the switch expression is simpler or more effective than efficient than the if condition, but also it has some limitation, like the number of the value that can be tested will be limited. The number of the tested value also will be limited, unlike the if statement. But if you're only testing one value, then I suggest you to use this selection switch. So yes, in this in this selection by using switch, firstly you put the expression or the value that you wanted to test or the value that you wanted to, to test. So firstly, this is the attribute that's going to be tested. If the attribute meet the intended value, then the statement will be run. So if the expression meet the condition one, then the statement one will be run. But if the condition doesn't meet the selection number one, then it will move into another selection. So if you as you can see that the differences between the if and the switch switch selection would be in switch you are required to put only the attribute that you would like to be tested or you would like to be selected. Unlike in if that you need to define all the condition at first at the top of the if selection. But in for switch, you only need to put the attribute that you would like to test. Then you put the expected value to be to meet the requirement. If the value of the attribute is same as the expected, then the statement will be running, will be this is the statement will be executed. Sorry. And also the case have a default value. So this default is like an else statement, or it's like an else line of code. So it's also optional. So it's mean if you use the default, there will be no expected value. So if the expression value do not meet the expected selection value, then it will be directly running the default statement that is not required does not require expected value. So yes, like an else, it will not have any condition to be met. So also it's also optional, so you can use it or not. It will be depends on your need. Also the break, it's also conditional. You can use it or not. It will be depend on your need. So like in this case, this is the example that also will be explained, also will be supporting your previous experiment or your previous job sheet, where the job sheet requires you to put something by using a console input. So this is the kind of console input that you can use. So yes, you can sorry, you can use the J option pane to catch the input dialog. So if you run this kind of this application, that then it will show you the selection. Selection would be in this case sate kambing, sate ayam, and then you can put the number value. This is a very simple input dialog. So if the menu in this matter, if the user put a number inside the menu, then it will be tested inside this one. So if the menu value is one, then the system will print this statement or will print this value. So if the menu value is two, then the return value will be different. But if the menu that being input into the menu value is not meet these two conditions, then it will be printing or will be this default statement will be executed. So other than one or two, then the value will be coming from this default block. And that is the kind of selection in general. So, and the next control flow will be looping. With the use of the repetition, it or using the looping, it will avoid writing the statement repeatedly. You're avoiding it to write the same uh, statement repeatedly. So one of the famous looping block would be the for block. A for block requires some condition. The first condition would be initialization, and the second block would be termination, and the third block would be increment. These are required. These are a mandatory parameter required for having for looping. So for initialization is the first value that you you will use. So this is the initiation value, and this is the termination value. So this is the limit value that will make this loop stop, and this is the increment value that will be uh, used to increase the value of from the initiation value that you gave until it will repeat the statement inside for until the value of the initiation meet the termination value. And the other block would be the while value. So in while value, it's quite different. So you will not see the increment or increment value inside the parameter. It will, the while value only require one parameter. The parameter would be the expression or the condition. So the condition, while the condition meet the expectation in this condition, then it will be looping the statement inside the while block. While the expression is true, then the statement inside the while block will be executed until the expression value return false. And another one would be do while looping value. In this case, the while condition is is put after put as the last in the last uh, line of code. It means that there are differences between the while and do while looping selection. While where in this while statement, there are chances that the statement inside the while is not executed, it's not being executed at all. Where in the do while statement or in do while selection, the statement inside this block will be executed minimum one time. So if you use this kind of block or this kind of selection, the statement inside the do while block will be executed at the minimum one time. So whenever the if you use this, I will repeat, if you use this selection, the statement inside this block will be executed at least one time. Unlike this condition where the statement inside this block cannot be, will be depend on the expression. It can it can be zero executed. As you can see, why it's happened, because the condition tested the condition was tested at the end of the block. So uh, the running the program running execution flow would be like, it will do the statement first and then test the condition. Okay. And this is an example of nested loop. As you can see, we have two loops that using a different, testing a different value. Okay, we are defining a variable a and b, and for the first loop, okay, for the first loop, we define first value, or the initial value of a is 1, and the limitation of a would be less or equals to 5. Okay, and the incremental or decremental value would be a plus plus, it means that a equals a plus 1. So the incremental value would be 1 by 1. And after this condition met, then we test another condition, or we create another looping. In this case, we are initiate the value from 1, and the limitation or the condition should be met is the b value will always be less than or equals to a, and the incremental or the decremental would be b plus plus, the same as this one. It means that b incremental value would be by 1. If the condition with this if the value meet this condition, then it will be printing out the value of the b. If and it will be printing the value of the b while the conditions are met. If the condition for this calculation is false, then it will be break or will be stopped, and then it will be executing the next line. Then this line means it will be printing an empty string, because it's using the learn, it's using the print learn command. Then it will be adding a new line, and then after it will be testing the next condition. So this is uh, the explanation, the last explanation. So before I end up this presentation, do any one of you knows what is the result for this looping?
Triangle.
Can anyone help me? Give
The
me
output is 1 and then
okay.
enter and then 1, 2 and then enter 1, 2, 3, enter
Okay. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, enter 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Okay.
enter.
That's good. Anyone else have their own opinion? It's not. Maybe it's incorrect answer. Maybe anyone has others opinion. Anyone else? No? Or you don't know?
Same with Nabila, sir.
Same with Nabila? Are you sure? Maybe Nabila was incorrect. Maybe the answer would just like this one. Maybe. So what do you think? Let's prove it whether it's correct or not. Okay. So let's say we have a. We are giving the initial value for a. We give one as the initial value for a, and the limitation for a value would be the maximum would be 5. As long as it's less than 5 or equals to 5, then the condition will be true, and the increment will be by 1. So we have the value a. So firstly, we have 1 as the value. Okay, if is a or is 1 less than 5, the condition will be true. Okay, and then we move into the next line. So we have a value of a. Value of a is 1. Okay, and then the next value, and the next line, we are testing the next looping. We initiate the b, and we give the first value is 1, and the condition is b have to be less or equal than a. So this condition would be like this one: is b less or equal than 1, the answer would be true. And then the next one, because the condition is true, then we move into the block, inside the block of this for. We printing out the p value, which is 1. And then it will move into the, the third block, the third parameter. It will increase the b value. So in this case, the b value will be 2. And then it will be testing out is b value less or equal than a. Because the result is false, then it will move into another line. It will not, the block inside the for will not be executed because the condition is false. So we will be printing out this empty string. It means that it will be moving down the cursor into this kind of condition. So we move out into the first block, which the first block will be increasing the value of a. So in this case, the value of a will be increased into 2. And then it will be testing out is 2 less or equal than 5. The answer, the condition will be true. And then it will be moving into this, into another line, into other line. And this, and we will do repeating, we will repeat the condition again. So we will initiate the b value into 1. So it will be changed the value into 1. And then we will test the value of b. Is b less or equal than a? Is 1 less or equal than 2? The condition result would be true. Because result is true, then we will execute it. We will executing the, the comment inside this block. So we will print the 1 value. And then after that, we move up again into this line, then we will increase the b value to 2. And then we will test the value again. Is 2 less or equal than 2? The condition is true, then it will be running the statement inside this block. Then we will print out the result. And then we move up again, increasing the b value into 3. And then we will test the value again. Is 3 less or equal than 2? The answer of the condition will be false. Then it will be moved out and will running this statement. So it will be moving down the process. And then we move up. Yes, it looks like the Nabila's answer is correct. Congratulations. Okay, this is the result will be like this one. Thank you.